Morning, conference. Must say it's good to be in Bolton, and just to run through our feelings on social care. The current system of funding for social care in England is broken. There's nothing particularly surprising in that statement. A population growth of nearly 5 million since 2005. Well over half of this is due to immigration. A growing, ageing population living longer with multiple complex needs is placing greater strain on a social care system that has been starved of resources following 6.5 years of austerity. Central government has cut the social care budget by nearly £5 billion in the last 6 years, but local authorities have been forced to spend more. It's now anticipated that there'll be a social care funding gap of almost £3.5 billion nationally by 2021. But what's the actual impact of all of this? Well, there's been a 25% reduction in those receiving any form of state support for their care since 2010. Almost 90% of local authorities are now only providing care for those who meet the critical or substantial need criteria. According to an English study of ageing for Age UK, there are almost 1 million people who have difficulties in the basic activities in daily living, such as dressing and cleaning themselves, but who don't receive any formal or informal help at all. The impact on the National Health Service is also huge. Every £1 less we spend on social care costs the NHS 35 pence. The lack of infrastructure in our communities, the length of time it takes for social work assessments to be done, and a simple lack of beds in nursing and residential care homes, all these are leading to delayed discharges and bed blocking at record levels, sapping resources from an already stretched NHS. The government's failure to provide desperately needed extra funding for adult social care means that this winter and throughout next year will inevitably see more older and disabled people not getting the care that they need and that they rely on each day. It also means an even greater toll being placed on 6.5 million family members and other carers, increasing delays in the NHS, even more care homes closing, and growing gaps and failures in the care system. The issue was completely and surprisingly ignored in the new Chancellor's first autumn statement. Following the subsequent public outcry, the government introduced 2 measures it believes will address the social care funding crisis, or at least hopes will address it, but only then in the short term. First, government has introduced a local care tax by allowing councils to add an extra 3% for up to 2 years onto their council tax charges, and that's over and above any other rises. Second, government will top slice funding derived for New Homes Bonus to create an additional £240 million pot to support the social care funding. Colleagues familiar with local government finance will know that this isn't new money. It is in fact recycled money from funds previously given to councils. Government hopes this will inject a further £900 million into social care spending, but the consequences in these measures will go nowhere near plugging the gap that's anticipated between now and 2020. A sticking plaster approach to fix a broken leg is how one colleague described it to me. The social care precept isn't the long-term solution to bringing the funding gaps that are swiftly becoming chasms in local authority budgets across the country. Wealthier parts of England that have local authorities with higher council tax bases will generate more money per head of population than poorer areas, where demand for services is actually higher. This will serve to entrench the funding gap between rich and poor areas and exacerbate the postcode lottery, which means that the level of care you receive will depend on where you live, not what you need, forcing local authorities to increase taxation for their local populations, particularly in areas of deprivation, and could increase the number of families into poverty. As a nation, we urgently need to recognise the importance of adult social care. We need to shift perceptions and make adult social care just as important in the public and within government as the NHS. This is why UKIP are supporting the call for a national movement to raise awareness of what social care is and why it matters. It's adult social care which provides invaluable support for the elderly, disabled, and some of the most vulnerable people in society. It's that support that keeps people out of hospital and living independent, dignified lives at home and in the community, and which alleviates the pressure on the NHS. Conference, we recognise the need for a good social care system in this country. Thank you.